All right, we are now joined on the Soccer Hour on 810 KSFO by our good friend Jamie Watson. Of course, MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Of course, you can see him on Fox Sports 1 as well. JMO, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Dad, I'm so happy to see you, man. I always love whenever I see the San Jose Earthquakes on my game schedule because it's just an excuse for us to hang out and chat for a little bit, talk about the Quakes, talk about what's going right, talk about what's going wrong, and also just talk and, cut it up together. So that's my favorite thing to do in a build up to a San Jose game is chat with you.
Yeah, I know. Although I didn't prep you this time by asking you for any more embarrassing Brian Dunseth stories, so you'll have to.
That's where I was
While
gonna
we,
go when I stuttered,
yeah,
and I was like, there's no context for the viewers or the listeners if they're just tuning in. But yeah, we always like to make fun of our colleague at MLS. He's the best, Brian Dunseth, as he likes to do whenever I get here. But that's what friends do, right?
yes, of course. You always got to be giving each other crap and such. That's all part of the fun. But I wanted to start off today because you've called a lot of MLS games for the Quakes in the last since Apple TV started, obviously. So you've had 3 consecutive years of calling a lot of these games, whether it's been in Leagues Cup, whether it's been in the regular season. So my question to you, as a former player as well, is the narrative that San Jose, in terms of all these late concessions, that this is who they are. Does that ring true to you when we say, well, they're just a team that concedes late? That is their DNA. I mean, is that changeable or is that truly who they are right now?
So great question, and I think there's two answers in there, and I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. Is that who they are, the team that gives up late goals? Well, it's what the scoreboard tells you, and the box score after the game tells you that's who they are. Um, do I think that can change? Absolutely. Do I think it will change? 100%. And then the second part of the question there, I think it's important to remember that this team is remarkably better than where they were at this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that still, if the playoffs were to start today, are above the playoff line. They would be in the play-in game. And so I think it's very important to remember that a lot of Quakes fans at this very point, as we sit in late August, getting to that point last year didn't seem like a in the realm of possibility. Yet here we are now where it's very possible. There's a couple of big 6 pointers coming up. Basically, the rest of the way out for San Jose, they'll play against Austin a couple of times, which is a team right around them in the standings. LAFC near above San Jose, but near them in the standings as well. So this is also a team that I have said to you all along when we've had these conversations is without a doubt a playoff team in the Western Conference, and I still stand by that. And they can stop the late goals. That'll make me look a lot smarter earlier, and they'll lock themselves in a playoff position earlier than later.
Were you ever on a team that was prone to having those late conceding goals where you'd be in a position to where you're going to get a draw or a win, to where you were dropping points late? Or, I mean, have you talked to enough people who can maybe try and help you figure out what's going on?
My rookie year, 2005, was Real Salt Lake's expansion season. Stick with me here. We won 5 games. We tied 5 games. We lost 22 games. So have I ever been on a team that figured out how to give away points and give away results? Absolutely, I have. It was my introduction to life in Major League Soccer. I know we talked about Brian Dunseth a moment ago. I don't want to bring up the fact he was a starting center back on that team, and he had a lot more of a role in that than he did. I digress about that one, but I just had to get my shot in there on our buddy. Uh, yeah, I've been there. And I'll tell you the worst part about it, much like winning is, losing is also contagious.
Mm-hmm.
And the mentality of, oh no, here we go again, constantly gets questioned when you get put into those situations. And I watched the game against San Diego the other day at the very end. And when that goal went in to tie it and to make it 1-1, you just felt that if there was going to be another goal in this game, it was not going to be for the home side.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality I have on the outside. I know the players would be a lot more resilient and have a lot more belief in themselves than maybe I do in those situations. But you can't tell me that it isn't creeping into the back of your mind. And that's a dangerous thing. Whereas the converse, when San Diego scored, the way things are going for them and how much winning they're doing, it would have crept into the back of their mind that there's one. I bet we can go and get a second one. That's where the two teams sit right now. That was the difference last Saturday.
It's very interesting though, because, and I referenced the 2023 point of this, is because when they started the 23 season, they had a lead in Atlanta and they gave up 2 goals in stoppage time. And that was a recurring theme throughout the season. In 2024, it was the first game of the year. They were up 1-0 in Dallas. Then they conceded 2 goals, late in that game to drop the points. And I guess, when you do see that consistency happening across multiple coaches, across multiple seasons, I don't know, does it get in guys' heads?
Yes and no. Keep in mind, I think it's probably more for the fans. Keep in mind, this is a big turnover with Bruce Arena, right?
Yeah.
And so that the idea that somebody like you, who's been so dedicated and has been a wonderful servant to the club and knows this team inside and out, that probably is in the back of your mind because you've seen this script play out years and years and years on end. But for this group, I don't believe it as much just because it is a newer group. I do think that you can get a shift in mentality with the change of coaches and bringing in Bruce Arena and Dave Sarachan as an assistant, Shalwi Joseph as well. You're looking at this group and you're going, what happened in 23 and 24 is probably irrelevant to the coaching staff, and they're probably going to completely, I don't want to say completely irrelevant, but it's in the past. They're focused on what the story is now. I believe that they will be in the players' ears saying this isn't the same group, this isn't the same script, this isn't the same story that maybe fans are used to. And now I'll turn it back on you and I'll ask you this. Do you think that the fan base maybe takes the sins of 2023 and 24 and applies that debt to the team of 2025 and just the assumption that it's going to go poorly? The good faith is not there. The earned trust is not there. Do you think maybe that's one of the bigger complaints from the fan base right now, since you have a sort of a finger on the pulse of San Jose?
I would say that there's another factor at work, and that is because all throughout the Wondolowski era, where he was one of the best goal scorers in this league, his teams were known for the late goals. They were known for the Goonieism, right? It was
the
like
Goonies with Lenhart,
yeah, like it was Gordo and Lenny and Wando and Salinas, and it was like, oh, okay, down by 2 with 20 minutes left to play, like the Earthquakes are going to come back and tie this game. Down by 1, they're going to come back and win. Needing a goal in stoppage time, they're going to tie it. That's
exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That was the positive mindset.
Yeah.
Seems flipped right now. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying I think the fan base, and maybe someone like myself as well, you saw it for so long, that glaring juxtaposition to where it never felt like there was a task that was too daunting to where it's now on the other side. It always does seem quite daunting. And it was interesting after the game because Bruce Arena, he called himself out. And I don't know that there is somebody to call out per se, but Bruce Arena said, either bad or dumb coaching or something like that, to that extent, because they, he said, we're not a smart team right now. And then he said, I think dumb coaching or bad coaching, either one of those terminologies, to where he was trying to put it on himself. And I don't know, the coaches get too much blame and too much credit in those situations, but I thought it was interesting to see Bruce try to deflect on himself. A, your reaction to that, and B, when coaches did try to take the blame on themselves, how did you respond as a player?
I like when the coach does that, simply because it doesn't put it on a player. So then players are human too, even though you become like a machine where you sort of try to block out all the noise, you're still human. And if your coach says something negatively about you publicly, then you can't help but have the human nature to be like, what does he? If he says that publicly, what does he really think? Is it 10 times more than that? And this was just the tip of the iceberg that he said out. And you start to ask these human nature questions. And second part of that, I appreciate when a coach does that, because he puts himself in front of you in the firing line to say, no, it was on me. It was on me. And look, he's got bosses he has to answer to as well. And Bruce Arena is the most decorated and accomplished coach in Major League Soccer history, but he's not immune to making too many mistakes within the course of a season or two and then being let go. So there's the converse to it, that like, he's not throwing me under the bus, he's putting himself in front of it too. And I appreciated when a coach would do that. And I think it's just part of the little things that makes Bruce so great, is understanding when to do that, when to go at a player. He's a very intelligent coach and a very intelligent person, and people will tell you his best quality is how he is a man manager. So understanding that it's the time to put himself in front of the questions and not the players at this important part of the season. There's just a little nuance that he understands with his experience, and it keeps us talking about him right now on the show instead of talking about a player and then, friends, family, himself hearing it and just that sort of downward spiral mentally happening.
In terms of that goal that Dreyer scored for the go ahead to where, the Quakes are forward, the only man back is Bruno Wilson. In real time, we were trying to figure out how exactly that happened because Romney was forward on the attack and, he got sprung because he was still in his own half when that pass gets, made out of the back. And I'm just curious your thoughts on that play and what went wrong with San Jose's defense, because it's a continuing theme of having trouble in transition D. Was this just a one where they got caught out, or was there structurally something that was amiss?
Your first instinct there was right. They did get caught out, and maybe it was too many players thinking we're going to go for it. We were just winning. We need to go get the lead back. They've had a flair for some of the dramatics to be able to go in and score late on as well too. Not Goonie-esque, but there was a belief in about it, and they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and that's how San Diego's been hurting teams, because they lull you into the sense of they're going to pass it short, they're going to be in possession. This time was a bit of a turnover and a quick outlet ball, but it's happened to a lot of teams. San Diego's been very good at being able to do that. They just happen to do it at the most crucial moment and the most crucial time of the game. So it was the difference of walking away with nothing as opposed to a point that you had in hand. But at least we're talking about a San Jose side that goes for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're entertaining. Would you rather have a team that goes for it and is entertaining to watch, or is a team that's dead boring and you're like, oh, it's either going to be 0-0 or 1-0? I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's about winning. So I'll take a team that wins every time, but you can't guarantee anything in sports, and especially in Major League Soccer, where anybody can beat anybody on any given day. But man, San Jose is at least fun to watch and it's entertaining. You can't leave early ever because you don't know what you're going to miss, good, bad, or indifferent.
It was really interesting to watch San Diego up close in that game, where you talked about it there. They try to break presses where they're baiting you into think that you're going to intercept those passes, that you're going to steal and suddenly have the turnover, which, that goal they gave up, Dos Santos, I don't know how he didn't see Noel Buck right there, but throughout the entire game, I mean, they'll draw you in and make those quick passes, and you would see San Jose's press crash towards it, and then they would break the line, and then suddenly, jailbreak up a wing. They're a really interesting team to watch, and that was my first time seeing them in person, which is always different than seeing it on TV, because you do sense the timing a little bit better. Just your thoughts on San Diego, because I thought they were a really interesting team to watch.
San Diego, I'll give you context. There was a great article in the Guardian. I think it was by a guy named John Mueller, I think. He did a study over the course of the last 5 seasons, I want to say 5 to 8 years, about the teams that build out of the back. And the big qualifying number that they went with, they said, how many times does a goalkeeper play a ball over 40 yards long, which is generally just the goalkeeper playing it down, putting a 50-50 ball in the air. And the numbers came back that said San Diego, out of any team in the world, played the ball short more than anybody else.
Wow.
Their goalkeeper only plays the ball long for over 40 yards 8.4% of the time. And I remember just like you watching them for the first time, I had full-blown anxiety watching them play the ball out of the back, and I had no skin in the game. I was a commentator for 2 teams. I can't remember, San Diego and I don't know, let's call it Houston. It was something like that. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, there's like 6 guys waiting to go and press right now, and they just play it short. Like they don't have a problem or a care in the world. I haven't seen anything like that, and those numbers backed it up. It's remarkable to see what they're pulling off. And in their first year.
Yeah.
So I got to give Mikey Veras a lot of credit for what he's been able to achieve with San Diego. They're a very good team. This is not a coincidence. The fact San Jose had them on the ropes and had figured out how to stifle what San Diego were good at, because no team has really been able to do it. And I've talked to multiple coaches in the league in the build-up to San Diego games, and they're like, I don't know, do you go and press? Okay, they'll play the long ball like they do the Dreyer. Do you sit back? Okay, they'll pass you and to death. And it's like, it's a very, very, very good team. So there's no shame in that result. I think the odds would have told you that probably going into it, that San Diego were the favorites, even though they're on the road. But San Jose gave themselves a good account, just heartbreaking not walk away with anything. But San Diego's legit. They're
Yeah.
really, really good. And I think when we're talking at the end of decision day, you've done your last broadcast on Apple TV. I've done my last broadcast on October 18th. If San Diego have won the Supporter Shield, would we be that surprised?
No,
Maybe
I
because
mean,
they're an expansion team, but not after watching them play.
yeah, I mean, what they remind me of is, back in 2017 when Atlanta came into the league and then they won in 2018, they were excellent at building out of the back, especially for an expansion team. 2017, they weren't quite as good. They didn't have all their guys. Joseph Martinez, I believe, didn't come halfway till that year. But, in 2018, even as a second year team, they built out of the back as well as anyone. And for some reason, New York Red Bulls abandoned their press in that conference final game, which I'm still miffed about. But that's the only, in terms of a new team, those are the top two. And it's like building out of the back is such a skill just because you run those defenders tired. You've got them reacting to the ball. You're pulling and stretching. And when you saw San Diego do it, Joe and I were just after the game like, that was really interesting to watch because they so many close call passes, but they keep on moving the wheel. They keep on flexing that Quakes defense over and over, even when they're pressing. So, like you said, credit to Mikey Veras. They were really, really fun to watch. Looking at this upcoming game here, I look at Houston. They're a bit of an enigma, and they continue to just kind of confuse me. What do you see going into this game?
Houston, they're in an identity shift right now, figuring out who they were at the beginning of the season. They lost their goalkeeper, their center back, two center midfielders, basically their spine of the team, and they haven't been able to really figure it out, who they're going to be. You look at their last results, their last win came against San Diego, shockingly on the road, right? Like as we are just talking about how good San Diego were.
Yeah.
Now Houston's last win was July 5th was the last time they won. That's across a span of the Leagues Cup and regular play. So I'm looking at here with five. That's about 9 games that they haven't won.
Yeah.
Whereas San Jose is 1 win in their last 8 games. So you're talking about two teams right now, and what a thrilling matchup that was, by the way, in San Jose back in late May, the 3-3 game. I was able to call that one with Josh Easter, my broadcast partner, on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. And that game ebbs and flows. I mean, San Diego or gosh, we talk about so much San Diego. I keep saying it. San Jose was excellent, ran up 2-0. Then what was it? It was 2-0 Houston.
Yeah.
San Jose comes all the way back, makes it 3-2, and then Houston steal one late to make it 3-3. And you're like, what the heck just happened over the course of 90 minutes? I don't know if you remember that one from late
yes.
May, but
I may have said a different word that ended with CK as opposed to heck, but yeah, I remember.
Yes. All right.
Preston Judd came off the
page.
bench, scored 2, and Daniel Muni had one in there as well. And, it goes from 2-0 to 3-2. And you're thinking, all right, here's a great opportunity for San Jose. And then again, back to the start of the conversation, the late concession, which they had also done against Miami after they were down 1-0, went up 3-1, and then conceded twice.
Right. And so there you go. I mean, it's entertaining.
Yes.
It's consistently inconsistent. But look, this is a game where at every point in every game, the first goal is always important. But I believe right now you have two teams that are wounded right now, and the mentality is not great. And I believe that more so than probably most games, the first goal is really important because I think it gives the other team that it waters that seed of doubt that's in the back of each other's minds right now. And I think whichever team, I'm going to go on a limb here and say whichever team scores first, I think gives themselves the best chance to win 3 games. It's like the next brilliant idea is if whoever scores more will most likely win the game. But I think more so in this one, just because there's two teams mentally that are fragile right now and can also really thrive off of that game's first goal. And then the other team has to do a bit more, expose themselves a bit more. So, man, these first 15 minutes of this match is going to be so important. And I think San Jose right now, if you had to ask me one way or the other, I think San Jose look more convincing, more often, more likely to score. So I would give them the edge heading into this match, but it'd be by the skin of their teeth. It'd be really, really close. But I'm leaning San Jose leading into this.
Where do you think the hinge point is in this game?
Beyond that first goal, I think then it becomes about limiting mistakes, individual errors. Houston do a really good job when they get their wide players into wide areas and cross the ball in. And so you've got to make sure that you limit those. You've got to keep Jack McGlynn accounted for at all times. 5 goals, 5 assists for the youngster with his left foot. It's wonderful. He can score from anywhere, 25 yards. And then it's really important. I think you got to get a lot of movement from your front three with San Jose, moving them about side to side. If San Jose can do that and get Houston moving defensively, I think that'll end up putting them in positions where miscommunication can happen, opportunities can create themselves. And Joseph Martinez, a goal in 3 straight games, is that right, Ted? So I think he continues to ride that wave, and I think if he can do that, that becomes the hinge point on limiting their service and then just movement in the final third for San Jose offensively.
I love it, man. Well, Jamie, I know you've got stuff to do, so I will let you go. Otherwise, I'd keep you here all day. But I appreciate your time as always, and I look forward to, after the game itself, going back and rewatching with you and Josh Eastern on the call.
I can't wait. I can't tell you how much I respect how much you pour into it, how great of a job you do. Your partner, Joe Cannon, as well. You guys, Joe was instrumental in this league before it was big, and you're instrumental in this league with him currently doing a great job delivering that broadcast to fans. San Jose Earthquake fans are very, very lucky to have you, and I feel lucky to join your show. So thank you for having me, Ted.